Recording in progress.
Sorry, they were a little late today. Traffic all over the town here. Better later than never. Goed, maar dit lag nog.
Zal ik nog...
Waarom niet? Ja, uit wat zit dan? Shalom Aleichem. Weekly Shiur. For this week we'll speak about the להבטחה, wacham slift, the ventilator. The ventilator lag zich op de tisch. The להבטחה, als je slicht die Yehidem, helemaal de Sanaim. I appear under the gedanke of everything turns over. Als je slicht die Yehidem, helemaal de Sanaim. You got rid of the sun and Haim of this and what does that mean? It's man of Spinka Rebbe inish levesima. What's his word inish? Suddenly the word. You can write down the questions. Remind me of the hand that I have to answer. Yeah, that's that. I have to answer. Remind me that I have to answer still. We have the psychotherapies keeping us company here. What is the להבטחה mean? What is this is not 1, 2. What is asher yishlet yachayim b'sanayim? The kasha was now. Yeah, what I said.
And what does it mean? Him is the name.
Yeah.
How's the name?
And the third one. I will start. What is the name of Simcha? Chayv inish lebesima beperaya. Adela Yuda. Why do we use this word inish suddenly? We'll start off with a word Rebbe explained what is an להבטחה, which is very to the whole derech as we call it. The field it's as a whole shmuz, a whole kaliska. It's himself, the whole sefer is set up that our connection with the Rebbe is only through emotions. That is a person that sits and all day and is meditating, busy with machshuvas, has no connection whatsoever to the Rebbe. Can be talking about it, as the person talks about Paris, but it was never there. There's no touch. There's no ta'amu, as we said last week, to that place. The only way that a person can be connected to the Ribbono, that's only through the name again. What's the name? Shalom Aleichem Yonis, Mazel Tov. Rabbeinu Adayad. Keisha Shekim. You still make a Shiur Bruchos, or
Yes.
still the Shiur Bruchos now, or you finished already?
Oh, no, I didn't.
The whole year we can still do it. Yeah, say how long is a Chusna Melech?
It's Chasnes, not yet.
Not yet. He became a Chusna.
Yes.
Mazel
yes.
Tov. Okay, I thought the Chasna was already.
No.
Now you bring an invitation already. And how long is a Chusna? As long as she'll be a Malka, she's going to be a Chusna. Keep that in mind. So, Jonas, good, Orange, and that, okay, we're here. Oh, you bring it to Bnei, so I have to go too far. Either the buys. Huh?
Must have had never for
Yeah.
It's your first time getting married or the second time?
First one.
First time.
First time.
I had no time the first time. My father didn't go to Chippis the second time. Because he was after the war. He was in the Bezins, taking care of matters on Aginas. So he got a certain paranoia from then on. But he goes to Chippis, but he doesn't want to take part of it usually. So that's why I'm asking the question about. I should be able to show him it's not. So we're here. We just started speaking about Chיים initially with Simon Peraya, so that you're getting married. You should be prepared. Everybody gets married with a ruchel. In the morning he sees himself with a layer. It's not exactly what I dreamt about. The whole life is about Hashem Aleichem Yoel. The whole life is about Sfeikas. We're into Amulik is Zom, Amulik is Sufik. That means whatever we do, we'll always have doubts. What are those doubts here? So we start off explaining what the Rosh is explaining the Nahapachi, Ashiyishliti, Ayidim, Heim B'Sanayim. Rosh sets away a klal, our connection with the Ribbono comes from our emotions, which our emotions come from our midas. Midas is actually the source of the emotions, which is Chesed, Gvir, Tiferes, Netzach, so but there it's more pure. By the time the emotions come to us, it's all mixed up. It's Toy V'Ra. Our work is start connecting to the Bachayim, from where this Chayim comes, from where these emotions come. The emotions come from Midas. The Midas come from a place called Moichen. Moichen comes from a place called Ein Sof. How do you do that? Rusha says, it should be, I'm going to read his words. By the time it comes to us, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted there should be a creator and a creation. There should be a boiler and a nivra. So by the time he screened it, he made the tzimtzum, by the time we got to us, there's toivera all along, there's a clipper, and there's a kaddish all along. So whenever we grasp it, only we understand is the clipper. So he wants us to explain what does it mean, clipper. Adam lo hevet Hashem. Avuev glida. That means he likes ice cream. But he has to understand that the Kodesh Baruch Hu actually sending him out a ray, strength, energy of Ahavu. But instead putting into table that you love yourself, you want to eat ice cream, then tzrichem teikef litzoik l'Hashem. You have to right away start going to the Ribbono Shlom. I know what you sent me, this tava, this emotion, but it's not because I should fall into the ice cream. It's because you want me to take this Asaris and to connect to you. and I should go away from the Yetzer Hara to the Yetzer Tov. But I have no way how to do it. You have to do it. But without this emotion, with the klippa, I wouldn't even start. The Gemara says, if love Yitzhak David we wouldn't have the Yetzer Hara, we wouldn't have been what is Rizke Doiraisa. A person can learn from the Yetzer Hara that he brings me in a fire to get things that he wants, so I know what Rizke is, because I'm not so spiritual that I should have that Rizke, but I am much more material. So he gives me a taste of the Rizke, but not that I should take the Rizke and jump into the and fool myself that I came to something. I need to give them tefillah. It's a way He connects to us. So he explains it. He says, "V'nahapachi." What is v'nahapachi? Asher yishlati ayihi v'hayim v'sanayim. Not that I can turn it over. V'nahapachi. I cannot control it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's controlling everything. But what can I do? Because I see that I have failures, I have flaws that I cannot keep myself going. But I see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving me a rachmim suddenly, things that I was in a doubt, as we said before, didn't work out, and he gives me from that brand, that fire that I have to run to these things. He's helping me run from the source that the clip is giving me. I should get to the awakening to get to him. This is the whole derech of a Baal Shem Tov, actually. So there's always two ways how to go about it. Or you can go in, as we said before, you go in and sit down and start meditating about the Ribbono Shel Olam and learning a lot, which we have to do. But again, that's only a preparation for you to tachlis hayediyah lodas she'ein yedeh. Without yediyahs, then you say you ain't yedeh. You really don't know. But we don't want that you don't know that you don't know. We want through that what you don't know, the Torah that you're learning is called only a mashal. It's only called a paradigm, right? But the nimshal, what the Torah is talking about, is the Ribbono Shel Olam. Because the Baruch is ein neguf, ein mesiga. There's no way we can get there. But every time that I see myself in a turbulence, an emotional turbulence, it's actually an opportunity that I know there's understanding here. Why? Because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought me that turbulence. But he doesn't mean the turbulence as he means I should recognize him. But until the time it comes to me, it comes in a turbulence. But when I recognize that I cannot, the hardest part is that I have to agree that I'm helpless in those minutes, and I need the Ribbono Shel Olam to help me. That's the hardest part. Because a person not ready to agree that he's helpless, so then he lives in denial. And he lives in denial, he's living in a sheker. And by the time he chaps himself that he's in denial and he's off track, he's gone already. Some substance or something in the olam hazeh, and he's, as the Rushik says, he fell into the ice cream already. So, but the way to get to this, we say.
Won't let him admit it either.
What?
The guy won't let him admit it.
The guy who doesn't let me admit it either. So the Balatanya says that the person is ready to, when he has such a pain that he's ready to find, so the pain itself takes apart the guy because he sees he's helpless. But when a person is apathetic, that he doesn't understand, so that comes the feld. Or the Balatanya calls it Yaram Ulav Bekoil. Start yelling at yourself. But not if you're sitting between people, you can't start yelling, but you can do it in your mind, or if you're outside in the field, outside in the forest, then you can start yelling at yourself without the Kolach Shaimes Kekore Chazal. You can look it up in speaking in English, it's not so nice to say these words. But you look up the Tanya, and it brings it back of Tess. He brings a raya from the Meraglim, came back from Etzisruel, and he said, Chuzik hu mimeni. The Goyim are there much stronger than us, we can't go in. And the Gemara says not mimeni, the Gemara says mimenoi. The Meraglim told them, let's waste our time, they're so strong in the Ribbono Shel Olam can't. Then it says a few psikim later, They said, no, we're going to Etzesur. What happened? How did they, from one sector, they saw the Boshlem can, and then you're running already? He says, in the middle, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "Bamidbar ze yipli pegaichem." HaKadosh Baruch Hu is chai enough. So he says, even the Yetzer Hara knows the truth too. Because the Yetzer Hara lives off the Kedusha. The Yetzer Hara doesn't have his own. And the Yetzer Tov Avada knows them. But if it's light and darkness, a little bit light should push away so much darkness. So why do we have such a hard time with the Yetzer Hara? It's like HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives to the Yetzer Hara the chutzpah in order to keep on saying the lies all the time. Why? Because otherwise we wouldn't have bechira. So we have to know that the Yetzer Hara knows that he's lying, but Yetzer Hara help here, yeah, hold on. Yetzer Hara knows the lies, but the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave him a koyach until you yell at him, says the Balatani. Once you start yelling at him, then he lets out and you can get there. So the first is a matzah when a person is apathetic, as we said. But we're talking a person is in pain, he really wants to go to steer, he wants to go to this tzien, that tzien. So Busha taught us, you can be the tzien too. You can bring the yashir from that hardship. It's actually opportunity to connect. Well, why don't we connect? Because we're ashamed. Usually people are ashamed with their flaws. People are ashamed with their helplessness. So Busha says the only way you're going to get to the Ribbono Shel Olam, to the Betuch and the Ribbono Shel Olam, is only when you're betuach shata lo betuach. When you're sure that you're not sure, so then you're going to the Ribbono Shel Olam. But as long as you want to be sure that you're sure, so Ribbono Shel Olam wants to help you, but you're not letting him in. But why aren't we ready to settle for that I'm sure that I'm not sure? Because I'm ashamed of it. What would people say about you? You're such a weak person, or you're a fly, you can't do anything. As the Rusha said, Yetzer Hara doimel zvuv. Recognize that you don't have koyach of a zvuv, of a fly either. As long as the person is not ready to recognize his helplessness, he won't get to the top. So that's what as Malka said in Kapitel Nirav, the V'damelech says, B'cho botchi, but in order to come to betuchen, we have to decide that we're helpless. When we decide that we're helpless, that we're betuach shelo betuach, we're ashamed of it. But b'cho botchu v'lo yvoishu. They were ready to go with you all the way through. V'lo yvoishu. Why wasn't yvoishu? Says the pussy before that. B'cho botchu avoiseni. We have that koyach within us. That our others gave that betuchen. The botchu vatfaltemoi. Whenever they gave that betuchen that they're not betuch, and they relied on you, you helped them. So I'm sure that I have that betuch. It's not something that I have to bring from the far east. It's in me all the time. Just we need that loy voishi to agree that I am helpless. Then I can connect to that b'chol botchi v'loy voishi. But as long as that is v'heishav leiv always. Al bunim, v'leiv bunim al avoisam. Rashi says on the spot, what is v'heishuv leiv always al bunim? Rashi says on the spot, al yedei bunim. V'heishuv leiv always al yedei bunim. So who's the one that's heishuv leiv uvis? I thought till now, leiv uvis al bunim, the fathers have to persuade the children. But according to Rashi, we're talking about the leiv uvis. They have to change their course of thinking, of being sure that they're sure, and start thinking that they're not sure. Who's the one that gives them time? So people have hardship with children. People have challenges with having children. People have hard to raise children. People have hard to marry off children. There's a lot of doubts. The Yiddish kleine Kinder, kleine Probleme, große Kinder, große Probleme. A son of mine came home with 6 children. After marry off, he has now Chusn at 9 Mechemish on Tuesday. And noch Kinder to make Chasana. But the devotees, but it's I can start blaming the whole world, says the bullshit, but it's not that what the Ribbono Shel Olam wants from you. The person brings you in to this tzimtzum, as we said before. Actually, it's a way a lot of emotions come up in that tzimtzum, but Kodesh Baruch Hu wants you to connect to Him. So v'heishav leiv uvos, through the hardship of the bonim. The same thing, the opposite. Sometimes children have hardships with their father. The father doesn't understand them, doesn't want to understand, etc. The leiv bunim, we have to the heishav leiv bunim, Allah voice, my dear voice. But the devotees, the Busha called it in 2 words. Instead of taking your hardship as a mitzias, it's like a wall, you can't move it. Take it as a sibah. It's something that helps you to connect yourself to the Ribbono Shel Olam. So how is that connection actually working? So we know that the Ribbono Shel Olam, we cannot recognize him, we cannot see him. Eine guf, ve'ene mesiga guf. The only thing we can do is one thing we spoke about last week is Toya Meyu. But this Toya Meyu starts off with Tzoma lecho nafshi. Koma lecho besuri. Tzoma means I'm thirsty. Koma, I'm missing. Gaguim, tzipil, tikvu. All we can do, the Basvasam said 2 weeks ago, today we're much more connected to the Ribbono Shel Olam than we were in the times of Beis Hamikdash. Because in time of Beis Hamikdash, you had the Beis Hamikdash in front of you, so you didn't use any tikva, any missing, any thirst. Why? You thought that you understand already. But now that we see, we don't understand. We're so far, so that itself brings a person into a thirst.
Feeling the lack.
It's feeling the lack. But the tricky part is that when a person comes to that lack, says the Busha, when it comes to the helplessness, then he's just like running on a highway, and he has to get off the highway and misses the exit. What's the exit? The exit is hachnur, to recognize that I'm helpless. To recognize the helpless is not to disturb me. The helpless is to help me to connect to something much higher, strength that I can even recognize. All I can do is believe, and all I can do is miss it and want to attach and be thirsty to it, and that itself gives us the connection. That means there's no other way to get there, only through the thirstiness. It says, Tachlis hayedia l'dach she'eini yodea. Once I know everything already, but at the end, I have to know that this idea, which I understand, the Ribbono Shel Olam is not the Ribbono Shel Olam, but it's without knowing that I cannot understand, knowing the greatness of the Ribbono Shel Olam, without seeing Dashgucha Prutis, without seeing my helplessness, I will never come to that place which is Eini there, but not Eini there. There is no knowledge there. There is a knowledge there that I don't know it. So then I believe that it's Leis Asapunim and Leis Machshuva Tfisa Klal. So every sfekas that we have is ein simcha katoras asfekas we spoke a few weeks ago. Katoras asfekas is usually a person has a doubt, he gets all tied up. Katoras asfekas means Hatorah means you open up the tie. Ein simcha katoras asfekas. A person is in a place of sfekas. He has no idea, as we said before. Oh, he sees his flaws. He sees his clipper. He sees his helplessness. It's not there to disconnect you, it's there to connect you. That means as long as you take the flaws as it's fighting against you, then you're in trouble. But once you understand that all the flaws are here to help you get to that Eini there through missing it, yearning for it, believing in it, without the flaws I wouldn't even look in that direction. So then we actually know that's the way that we can get it. So we have to know, a person has to know every time a person has a hardship, says it, so he puts the whole emphasis on the whole derech is not so much to go into meditation and think about the Ribbono Shel Olam, it's very good, but once you're in that meditation, you're not getting anywhere. You used to say in Esek Shemaim, Sham, it's very far, it's far. The higher you go, he's even higher. But Asir Sha'oil, once you recognize your sho'ol, your helplessness, hineku, what does hineku mean? So I'm out of the picture. So you start a whole mahalach of recognition on your helplessness, and you start knowing that there doesn't mean there is no knowledge. I don't know, but I can believe, and I can yearn, and I can hope. That gives me the toyameya, that gives me the connection to the higher place, but without understanding. Then there's mahalach, we're speaking other times, that ain't a missing becomes a missing, and then again ain't a missing, it's an ain't so. But the first step has to be for me that I'm ready to live in that ain't a missing, but not that there is no missing there is no understanding there. There is an understanding, but I can understand it. That means if we'll say it, we'll put it out in an order. Right now, Balatanya says the person starts davening, he thinks he's a yesh. I'm the boss of the whole world. It comes to Moedem Anachnu Loch, Shabta Hashem Alekeini, V'seini, Tzatzareini, Tzachayeni. So then we decide, sorry, I got it wrong. We're Ein and you're the Yesh. Okay, so you live with a Yesh. But Ani and Yesh don't go together. Although I decide that I'm Ein and the Banshim is the Yesh, or you're busy that you're the Yesh and the Banshim is the Ein. But so how do I connect to the Banshim? When I decide that Banshim put me here in such a place, which the Buddha calls as Enosh, it's to be the Ani and the Yesh together. That means even though my Yesh, I can see the Noich Hashem Alekechu together. That is called Chayv Inish Levesima. Inish has the Oisius Ayin, and has the Oisius Yesh. Purim is a time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put you in the greatest lahashmed, laharig, and laabad. You saw no way how to get out of this. And derech hateva, there's no understanding. So other people get lost in such a massive. The days that we're now, the whole world is turning over, as they call it. But this is the way that gets us into actually to see that I'm a ayin and the Banshim is the yesh. But if the Banshim is the yesh, so where am I exactly? But I have to connect this ayin and this yesh, the ani and this yesh, to become one. This is the word from Chayv Inish Levesima Peraya. He has to let Adala Yuda. I have to let out my idea. Then I can connect to a place where there is ideas, but I don't understand it. So that's my work here right now, which is called Hachnur, which is called Bittul, which is called Havdula, which is called Hamtuka. So that every time we meet that place of our helplessness, it's not there to punish us, it's not just to push us away, it's actually an opportunity to connect us to the Banishlan. So we had three kashas. What was the kasha?
The him of the name.
Chanish?
Him of the Chayv Inish Levesima.
Simperai, that's what we said now. Inish is Ayin Yesh.
And the him of the name.
Him of the that's what we said in the beginning. The Busha says, Dafke from Seneim, that you think this helplessness is against you. When you're going to turn it over, it's not Seneim, it's just coming to help you. So then they lose all their teeth. All the teeth is trying to you, to talk you in that you're a lost case. He's trying to that you're a flop, you're a loser. But once you understand that he can only keep you a loser as long as you don't get up against him. But once you understand that this is only to give you that yearning, gives you that connection to the Baruch Shalom, so then actually, I said a story, I was in England, I said a story from the Vision Rebbe, that someone came into the Vision Rebbe and said, Rebbe, I became a chussid. So I asked him, how do you become a chussid? I started drinking. Look, do you drink? Look, du bist a Schicker. You're drunk, you're not a chussid. So what is a chussid? The Rebbe told him, a chussid is a bissl nicht zu weinig, a little is not too scarce, and a sach is nicht zu viel. If I have a lot, it doesn't mean it's too much. What does that mean? When a person has a little bit, he's busy. Oh, why don't I have more? So it hurts him. But that hurting comes him to teach you that not because it's too less, that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu can connect you to his Ein Sof through that boundariness that you can get more. The same thing also, people has a sach, whenever I have 100, I want 200. But again, for a chussid, it's not too much 100. Why? Because that 100 is actually giving me a way how to get to the Ribono Shel Olam, so I don't get disturbed that it's not enough. That is the whole avodah that we are here in. So we have to do two works. So Lucia says shtika, maviren esoya hagzayr. The more we go into, don't let the turmoil of the emotions get you off track. How do you do that? Shtika. It's machshuva, dibber, and masa. Don't do anything in those minutes. Don't keep quiet. No, this is a procedure now. The procedure is turn it over from an enemy, turn it over to an opportunity. Once you turn it over from Busha calls us from ani to lechu, which is through the demir, then comes the tehilu. Then actually you get a connection with your yearning, with your tzipiyah, to get all the way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what we said, the original used to say, we find in Kapitel Yud Gimel, it says, the Melech says, Ad Unu Hashem tishkachayni netzach. Till when will we go around here with that feeling that you forgot us? Ad Unu taste esponech mamani. We're going around with a feeling as you forgot about us. So then the Melech says, Ad Unu ushes eitzes benafshi yugim b'vuvi. Said the Ishana, you know till when you're going to go around with that? As long as you think you can get along on your own. Once you decide that you're helpless, you stop giving eitzes to the Ribono Shel Olam and understand that this place of Eini Yodea comes to connect you to the Ribono Shel Olam, then automatically you're not going to be busy with Adunu Tishkachayni Netzach. You're not going to be busy Tastes Ponechu. You know that this is actually an opportunity to get you connected to the Ribono Shel Olam. Any questions?
What's stopping from falling into yesh?
Again, yesh is when I know that I'm stuck. But once we understand that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is the sole place to be real happiness, is always v'chad b'koyim with the Ribono Shel Olam. That means to get there, as long as I feel that I can by my own, that will bring me to yesh. Why? It's a teitzua, it's an outcome of the gava that I'm trying. Lucia's chiddush was that yesh comes from gava actually. I want to control, so you know what? I'm depressed. Do me something. Move me. Or a person goes into tefkeiros, that we started saying. Every time a person comes to that exit, which is called achnua, why does he forget it? Because he wants to try, that he knows how to do it. So he either goes into chaos, which he does stupid things, or he goes into atzvis, which is the mahara we spoke in the past, but he doesn't want to give that hachnua, because the hachnua, that's the hard part, to decide to be loivoishi, that's the hard part to go through. But once a person says, those are the koiches that Kodesh Baruch Hu gives us, these yom toim befrat pirim, that's what says, v'mei pirim elu lo yavim etoch hayidim. The pirim won't go away. Why? Because that is lucid luve. Right now, we have a hard time with our helplessness. Why? Because this clipper has his shlita, and his koich is to bring you as gav, as we said before. But lucid luve zayin choloisho kilo ba'oshan tichna. He won't have any koich anymore to get up against the kedusha. So automatically it will be behes chadas. Automatically you'll always, just like now you have an instinct to get you angry. You have an instinct to go into depression. You have an instinct to go into happiness. An instinct to go into addiction. Then, as said Lovai, you'll have an instinct to go to the Ribono Shel Olam because there won't be any magnetic schlep you down. Automatically you're going to be something. Right now, you have the b'chira, instead of it slapping you down, the b'chira that you have no b'chira, then automatically Kodesh Baruch Hu can take you up. But you can't even get up either. He has to take you up. But you have to decide. The Busha says, there's Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. But at the end of the day, you're going to tell the Yetzer Hara, you can't help me. So then, the Yetzer Tov will be able to turn over the Yetzer Hara to Yetzer Tov too. Why? Because once the Yetzer Hara knows the truth, which he knows the truth because that's his life, he automatically becomes the Yetzer Tov too.
what's stopping from being taken advantage of? If it's saying stika, so somebody annoying me, then maybe they're going to take advantage of me.
Okay, but if it's a one that's giving it to you, is, as we said last week, a pusik, ani ba v'lo edu. Why is helplessness so scary? Why is unknown so scary? As you said, someone's going to take advantage of me. If it's a sickness, if it's any person.
It says that Hashem is the one who's controlling it.
1 second. But now we're explaining ani ba v'lo edu is not because he doesn't want me to know. It's just he wants me, since to be connected to him only comes when I finished knowing. I decide behemoth yisimach. What does behemoth yisimach mean? That I decide, just like the behemoth, he doesn't know where to go, but his boss gives him a kitzel, Moshe said, and he starts moving. So every time you get a kitzel, you see your helplessness. It's actually hu yisimach. We have to decide that behemoth, that we really don't know. That means he gives us, we're all mixed up. From one side, he gives us to understand. From the other side, he gives us, the behemoth doesn't even understand. From the other side, suddenly we see ourselves that we don't understand. But it's there, the chelik from behemoth is there in order to yisimach. The minute ani imchutum, it says, melech and perik yud gimel, then is a chastu b'yad yamini. You're the one that's holding on, but you're not holding on to me with small. You're holding on to me with your right hand. Right hand means chesed. Then atzoschu tancheni. Understand, whatever I have to do, you're the one that's giving me everything to do. I myself cannot do it. So once I know that you're the one that's giving it to me, it's only just to give you away the whole kuvit. Thank you for coming here today. We're looking forward for next Sunday again. Any questions, Rabbi Isai?
Rebbe, I have a question. You said last week, Rabbi Asher said that the biggest rasha is our machshava.
Right.
Because our emotions and our actions, our maisim are bounded, but our machshava is not. What does that mean exactly? Like, that your machshava is, what do Rav Asher mean by that?
That's what I'm saying right now. Tachlis hayudiyah, l'das she'eini yudiyah. But instead, when a person doesn't know, so he runs around becoming wild, there must be an answer. Even though there is no answer. He tried everything. Every time a kushabochi gives you a dead end, it's not because he wants that dead end. He wants you to connect to him. Rabbis machshuvas belev ish. Then atzas Hashem hizukim. He'll give you the answer. But in order to give you the answer, he wants you to know that he gave you that answer. So for one time, as long as I'm not ready to know my helplessness, that I'm bounded in my understanding, I cannot get that answer that I don't give that answer that I don't know, so I cannot be connected to him. So then, once I'm masig, then once I believe there is an eina missing, there's something that I don't understand, so we're building a certain keli that we're able to get nuhasugas. Just so you can see a small child, he's ready to learn what aleph is, then he can learn already kumetz aleph. Once he knows kumetz aleph, he can make a word, and he can make a sentence. But if he doesn't want to learn what altogether, we have a problem with that, or he has any disabilities, whatever it is. So every disability what we have actually comes to promote us to get to the hachnua in order to connect to the higher place that through my disability, but not to downgrade me, just to uplift me, because that is the way I'll give. I cannot reach to the Rebbe only through yearning, only through not knowing, but there is something there. Not that there is no knowledge there, there is a knowledge there, but I cannot, the maximum I can do is to miss, to want, to as I said, that's what Esther Malka said, Keli, Lama Azaftuni. I once asked Rebusha, what does Lama Azaftuni mean? If we say that the Rebbe has to be with us all the time, and Chaz v'shum, he leaves us, we're lost. The whole world goes under. So how can Esther Malka say Lama Zaftuni? So she said, no, Keli, Lama, why do you put me into such a hester that it's hard for me to connect to you, and I'm living in a place of azavtuni. But that question itself is the answer. Why do I feel azavtuni? Because I'm not ready to admit that I can't hold myself. But once I'm ready to admit that I cannot hold myself, so that actually starts a mahalach of emunah, of yearning, of connecting. But that's the maximum, the minimum, the maximum that we can do.
So how do we know, like, if machshava could just run wild? Are there like filters that be...
So, because you put in the mechanism when the show's run wild, my emotions run wild, and we lose our yishuv adas, so might as well stop.
So we know when we go like when our machshavas go crazy, that's when we know.
Either goes crazy, you get wild, or it goes crazy, you get depressed, whatever it is. But it's all the emotions. Everyone has his emotions that it's fight, flight, freeze. What he does in those minutes when he feels himself lost, he feels himself helpless. So he feels himself frightened, as you said before. But if I know that but I have this idea that we're learning it, which is teaching us all the time, that we know that is the only way we can connect it. So then slowly but surely, that's the whole davening. I just have we have to be masmer ge'ile la'amida. That's what it says, ge'ile le'tfila. We have to in the morning say go al yisur, and then right away starting davening. So we learn from psikim, but what is that? How do we learn it? Navoida, as they call it. Ge'ile means as more you understand, you're going to get more into trouble. The more you want to understand, you're going to get more trouble. The more you can keep on saying, you ain't going to get anywhere. So we have to know the amida, that is the ge'ila. Once you're ready to stand there and just be attached without moving, as we call it, I believe there is something there. I believe that right now I'm standing in front of the Ribbono Shel Olam. Dalef Nemiat Oimel, but I don't know who it is. That is the connection. In English, they call it being is becoming. Sometimes we have to become, have to do something. But here in Avodas Hashem, it's just being, just be there. That is becoming.
So what's the right machshava that when, let's say, you feel that emotion, you feel like anger coming up, so what is the right machshava at that time? Just to go into bittul?
So what I say is shtika, shtika, shtika. Shtika, machshava, shtika. In Dibber, Stika, and Meissen. That means because whatever I'm going to do foolish. Whatever I'm going to say, I'm going to get a few people hurt. And when I'm thinking, I'm just like a fire comes, the engine comes around to a fire. He has to put out the gas and the electricity. He shouldn't give any more supply of energy to that fire. So then
what happens if you're a very emotional person? So you could be doing that like 1,000 times a day.
We have to believe that Ribbono Shel Olam gives it to me, and he gives me the koiches. That the emotions, if it's 1,000 times a day, because I'm not ready to connect. We should call it habulataya messiah. Like the first time it's hard, it's very scary, it's very hard to admit that I need him. But once a person goes into that, the more he's 1,000 times a day, the more he wants to connect. So the end total is, the more a person is hungry, the more he's going to get food. The more I'm hungry for that tranquility, which is called ani kives elikim li toiv. The Bush called it toiv li ki inesi. And now I understand that every inner that you gave it is actually leman elmet chikecho. Chikecho means I'm ready to let out my understanding. Chikecho means without understanding. That is the way that I'm going to connect to you. So then I say, I'm very happy that you gave me those emotions, because that's the only way that I'm ready to understand that I can understand, but I'm not ashamed of it, because that's the only way that I can come to Faltema, that you're going to give me a certain certain idea, which I never even thought about it. But to get that idea, I have to decide that he has to give it to me, and I cannot take it by myself. That is our connection to the Ribbono Shel Olam.
Shkaya.
Kol tiva b'oser, mitapsiras.
Okay, kol tiva.
Kol tiva.